Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Thank you everyone for joining me for tonight's session. Tonight is more of a test that I want to do because I'm building the next episode. I still will be testing episode 1 a couple more times, but getting ready for episode 2 is challenging because there are things that I want to do first before I actually put it out as a course. Uh, it has to be fair to participants because I need to have that experience. I need to know what needs to be done. So it's also something for me because I've been putting off a lot of things in the last 1 year that I should have been doing. I've been getting a lot of good advice from people, but itulah, I've been putting it off. So I'm going to actually get it all done, and hopefully we'll have another episode by end of 2018. Hopefully, and that'll run sometime soon. And of course, you guys will be my first go-to to help me test out the session. If everything goes well, maybe it'll be earlier than that, but I don't know. It depends on how successful I am. So tonight's session will be an hour, and I don't think it'll take an hour because there's not much to share. I call it tools of the trade because in episode 2 it talks about the tools that you use to actually run the business. And I know some people have asked me, this is kind of vague. What I mean, when you said the essentials, it made sense. Okay, not what the profile, not what the outline. So what do you really mean with running the business? Well, basically, if you think about running a hardware store, what would you need? You would need to have, your accounts. You would need to have your invoicing. You need to have your quotations. You need to have your delivery orders, things like that. So from a logistics point of view, uh, the tools of the trade are actually every single tool that you need. Sometimes things that you think you might not need yet, but sometime in the future you will be picking up to use. Every single tool that I've spoken to my mentors about, I've spoken to successful trainers about, and they use this. So I've collected all these tools into one spreadsheet, and I've turned that spreadsheet into the slide deck. And I warn you, I forewarn you, there are things here I've done already. There are things here that I have yet to do by advice, and there are things I really want to do but have not done yet. So bear with me, because there will be some questions you ask me when I go, I don't know the answer to that. But I pray that you take, with your experience, with your knowledge, with your context, your networking, and your self-learning, maybe you'll do better than me. Maybe I definitely pray you'll do better than me, faster than me, with what I introduced to you. So I pray that you make full use of it. So what questions do you have before we start? No, Farah, no assignments for this one. Not at all. Because it is not a class, it's not a course. It is a sort of an introduction. What we have tonight is actually a summary of what will go into episode 2. So every episode is 6 hours long. This tonight will be an introduction to all 6 episodes. And I'm still struggling to figure out how to divide those up amongst 6 different hours. So maybe you guys can give me some help at the end of tonight's session and give me suggestions. So Farah, no, it is not a class with a definite output. It serves more as an introduction and maybe an awareness. Some of us might not know some of these things. I know I was surprised when experienced trainers introduced me to them, because I thought, oh, okay, I dah pakai PLF, so far so good. But there are other ways you can value add to make the client see, oh, okay, this is worth the money. And you're not actually investing much more than that anyway. You're just introducing some extra tools. So before I confuse you further, let's jump straight into it. Tonight's session, what we'll do is we will talk about a few things. Number one is how to identify what you need to cast your net. Now that sounds a bit vague, but that's the best way I could put it into a sentence. Basically, the internet is the way to get the word out. So that's what I call casting the net. And there's no one way to talk about social media or social networking within one sentence. I use the net as an analogy, and casting the net means how do you get your word out over the internet, over social media and social networking. So that's number one. Number two, Prepare to explain your brand and programs. I dare say that we talked about this a lot in episode 1, and all of the output from episode 1 you will see here, as well as some additional things as well. So we'll run through that very quickly, and if you have questions, do ask. Yeah. Number 3 is deliver your content offline and online. So what this means is, as a PLF, you come to class face to face. You do the normal thing you do. We teach them face to face. We run games. We do debriefs, things like that. So how do you do that offline? I call that offline, which is face to face. And then how do you do that online? What things do you need? What tools do you need to be able to do that effectively? And what the PLF program does is it prepares the presenter. It prepares the presentation, it prepares the business of presenting. However, it doesn't actually talk about what tools you need to have that will value add and will make the client more impressed without actually needing to spend a lot of money. Number 4 is, of course, we talk about ROI, return on investment. How do you prove to the client, or how do you get the client to be aware of how good your programs are? So how do you prove your effectiveness? And last but not least, this is the sort of the final step that trainers go through, which is you do really well, you do so well that you can actually sell your content, sell your programs to be run by other trainers. And so far when I've spoken to trainers, they say, if you can get this far at number 5, that means you've made it. So for example, Rizal now has accredited 5 or 6, I think, people to run the PLF program aside from him, which means that he's already reached number 5. He doesn't just only run his programs, but he also accredits other people to do it the way he does as well. Another example, of course, would be Syed Faizal's Best Belajar. I don't know how that works, because it seems like they come in a team and they don't actually do it separately aside from him. So, but that still works the same way, in that it's licensed. They are bound by a contract, and they're bound by certain sets of rules, right? You can't change the title, you can't change this, you can't change that. You have to deliver it as designed, like that. So let's jump straight into it. I see a chat, something on the chat. Oh, hey Ariel, hello, welcome. So tonight we will be running through, right? We can't walk through because it takes too long. We'll be running through 63 tools, and I will I will give you this slide deck as much as possible. I have created links to the internet where you can actually find find these tools or create these tools. So let's jump into the first one, which is casting the net. And in casting the net, guys, we cannot ignore the fact that the internet, social networking especially, is very, very important. And anybody who does not get on board quickly will be left behind. I've met a lot of old trainers who say, they cannot catch up, they cannot keep up. Once upon a time, these trainers were the people teaching that change is permanent, everything changes, but now they cannot keep up. So seeing as our age right now is between 40 to 50, we're going to catch up to 50 in about 10 years time. We need to be able to keep with the learning curve to make sure we don't get left behind. So as you can see here, most people interact with the planet through their mobile phones, through their tablets, and specifically through social networking apps. So you want to figure out how we can actually market ourselves, how we can make ourselves known through these apps. And of course, you need to have a Facebook account. We talked about that in episode 1. You need to have a Twitter account. We did not talk about that. However, this is we're going to start diving into this a little bit. You need to have a LinkedIn account. We talked about that as well. Now, Google Plus is one very interesting tool, because once upon a time, Google Plus tried to become Facebook, but nobody jumped onto it. However, Google has a strength in that Plus has a strength in that it is attached to Google. So whatever you post on Google Business, on your Google Business account on Plus, automatically gets attached to Google, the search engine, which makes it very, very easy for people to find you. So if you do Facebook, Google will still index it, but not as much. When you post on Google Plus, then it makes it easier, much more easier for people to find you. And people are just waking up to Google Plus in the last couple of years. They're not telling a lot of people about it because they don't want the space to be too crowded. So now is exactly the right time for us PLFs to jump in, seeing as PLFs are very straight, ahead of the curve. So we want to stay ahead of the curve as well. Instagram, we're missing out a lot on this, especially if you're old, if you're between 35 to above. If you don't have an Instagram account and you're not using it well, like I am, what I mean is I'm not using it well. That means we're gonna get left behind very soon. Facebook was smart enough to buy WhatsApp and Instagram, understanding that Facebook is a Gen X sort of creation, used more by our generation, and that the next generation, my sister, is more on Instagram than she is on Facebook. So, and she sells a lot more on Instagram than she does on Facebook. That should tell me something. A Pinterest account is also useful, especially since Pinterest is very graphic oriented. Snapchat coming up very fast, especially this is pushed very hard by Gary Vaynerchuk. So if you've been following Rizal, especially, you'll see that it's a lot of Vaynerchuk stuff, because he actually uses or he promotes the use of Snapchat in marketing. And I've been doing some reading in the last couple of weeks. Very interesting. I'm going to do a lot more experimentation with this, because Steve Kerwin, I think I can't remember his name, but one of Rizal's favorite speakers from Australia, this Kerwin guy, his first week on Snapchat made 11,000 USD in sales alone, with no extra investment, with no payment of anything. They just went on Snapchat and they started marketing themselves there. Snapchat is a video-driven social networking tool, and that helps a lot, especially since people don't want to read so much now. They want to have quick information through video, which simulates interpersonal interaction. You can see the face, you can see people talking to you. So Snapchat is one good one there. Now, YouTube aside, and of course WhatsApp, we're going to leave that aside. What is most important here is the top 6 here. And why it's important is because you can actually control these 6 using social media marketing, social media management tools. And the ones that I've tested out before are Buffer and Hootsuite. And so far, Buffer does more for me than Hootsuite. I'm not too fond of Hootsuite. So type into the text chat if you're confused. Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you heard of Buffer? Have you heard of Hootsuite? No. Farah says no. Afzal says yes. Okay, Afzal, tell me what you know. Farah says first time. You can turn on the mic and tell us what you know. Auto posting. Basically, when you have a Facebook account, a Twitter account, blah blah blah, you have to log in one by one, right? Buffer and Hootsuite allows you to log in. It's a dashboard where you can post the same the same content on all your accounts at the same time. And of course, there are certain functions, advanced functions you need to pay for, but the free functions allowable by Buffer and Hootsuite. You can auto post. You can schedule when your post will go out, so that you don't actually have to be online all the time. You can just write one weekend and just schedule it for a week. It will post for you. Again, if you use the free version, then there's a limit on how much you can post. If you pay, then you get a lot of other functions. And why do we need to use this? Well, because of time and consistency. You want what appears on your Twitter and your Facebook and your LinkedIn and your Instagram to be consistent. If you notice how Rizal does it, he posts all at the same time. So what appears on his Instagram, that his words of wisdom, will also appear on LinkedIn at the same time. And if you haven't noticed that, then you want to stalk him a little bit more. I believe Rizal uses Hootsuite. I tried before, but not so much fun. I prefer Buffer. Macam friendly for Facebook and Twitter. Yes. But Buffer, for example, okay, I'm not going to talk about Hootsuite, because when I did this circle for these 6, this circle, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google, Instagram, and Pinterest, these are the 6 that Buffer can accommodate at one time. Hootsuite, I'm not sure. If I remember right, I used Hootsuite a couple of years ago. Boleh lah, you can jump into almost all of the social networks. Yeah. So why do we need this? Again, you need to get yourself seen. You need to get yourself out there. And you know, whenever you run a program, you want to post, yeah, we're over here, we're having fun. Rizal does that all the time. You know, my stage this morning, where am I, what company, and it shows his followers that he's busy. It shows his followers he's doing stuff. Okay, ask your questions now before we move to the next slide, which does not talk about this anymore. Right, this is the only slide that talks about social networking. So Afzal, thank you. Afzal says Hootsuite free package allows for 3 profiles saja. Buffer allows for 6. So you can actually sign in all 6 at the same time. So that's why that's one of the reasons I don't use Hootsuite. Also Hootsuite, I tried to schedule, I think tak sampai 10 saja. It allows for 10 on any of those 3 profiles. When you hit a maximum of 10, then you have to wait until one is you know, launched. Then you can use that one slot. Dia macam you know, it's like paying for a sofa at Courts Mammoth. They take 2,000 out of your credit card and you can't use that until it's all paid up. Farah, question? Muna, question? I do not recommend. I do recommend that you ask the question first. Which accounts do you need? Which accounts are your audience on? So Facebook is the king lah. If you do Facebook, that pretty much covers quite a big huge chunk. Google Plus is more business to business. Ariel tengah install Buffer to phone. Instagram is if you want to capture the more fun crowd, if you have more public work. So for example, if you have public programs, if you know, want to be invited to speak, then Instagram is much better. LinkedIn, of course, more professional and more recognition. Pinterest is more about sharing your brand. So you create graphics, you create pictures that can share on Pinterest. Of course, the graphics cannot be self marketing. They cannot be adverts. They must instead be helpful tips and tricks for people to you know, to pick up on. So if you're a graphic designer and you want your services to be well known, then you teach graphic design on Pinterest by, you know, posting how to differentiate, how to design, things like that. So Farah asks, should your personal FB be used for a business as well, or separate account is better? Again, that's your preference. I have seen people do both. However, Facebook frowns upon business being done from the personal FB. So you can certainly do your public figure, right? You can do a public figure account. You can do a page. That's certainly useful as well. You can do Farah Fuad as a page. If you look at Rizal has gone all out, and I keep using him as an example because he was the one who, you know, he's the benchmark for PLFs right now. He has every single page. He has a Take Charge Facebook page. He has a Rizal public figure page. He has a Rizal personal page. I am so confused sometimes. I'm trying to bring into my corporate field LinkedIn to be better, right? To start with, yes. However, if you do LinkedIn, then you want to, you know, really fire it up, post every day, get as much followers as possible. As Ariel kata, I've created FB brand for my page for my brand. Tunggu nak launch serentak dengan website. Okay, cool. Thank you. Any more comments? Any more questions? Okay, so what do you use these accounts for? Well, basically you can't advertise. When you advertise, people run away. So you share tips and tricks, you share words of wisdom, you share stories, you share anything that helps people. Because when people see that you're helping others, then they'll be more interested in asking you how you can help them, either their company or themselves. So the reason you do this is to appear as an expert. You become a social influencer. You become someone whose words are taken as gospel. And many people are trying to do this. So differentiation is key. You need to differentiate yourself and do that well, high quality. Farah says stories related to your field are general. Uh, okay, so if you go online and you ask this question, how to market on Instagram, how to market on LinkedIn, you'll find that there are different schools of thought. There are so many different schools of thought, I get confused. If you ask me, Nazrin will say that you want to be specific from your own field, your own specialization that nobody else online is sharing. When you do general or generic, yes, it helps introduce people to you, but when you do specific, that's when they go, oh, this is different, right? So Ariel says prefer what Nazir said, giving tips on your niche. So it helps to build your brand when you use your personal image. That very first assignment we worked on episode 1, which is your identity, that has to shine through. For example, Gary Vaynerchuk uses the F word in everything he does. That is part and parcel of who he is. People expect that, and people think, that's bleedingly honest. Gary V will tell you to your face what you're doing wrong, and he'll expect you to accept it. So he has built himself as a straight talker who does not mince words, and will use the F word every chance he gets. So Farah, go back and think about your brand, think about your identity, and launch it from there. Do something that nobody else does. Talk about things that nobody else talks about. Share things that nobody else does, right? Another person to follow right now would be Azahan. PLF Azahan he's branded himself as Safety Man. He shares some really good content on safety, and when I say safety from an industrial perspective, occupational safety, how to stay safe in the workplace, how to stay safe while driving, how to stay safe out in the field, things like that. So you ask yourself, what are some of the things that people think are true but really are not, about say English or corporate English or how to communicate, and build your brand around that. Maybe if you remember, we have a PLF who also does English work, Rashida, Coach Shah. Farah, do you know her? Have you heard of her at least? No? Oh, that's sad. You should get to know her. So Coach Shah does a lot of work for students, children. They try to break into corporate, but I think they're more comfortable with Orang Asli students. You don't know her personally, but do you follow her? So there was a brand that she created once, but I don't see her using it as much. Such a shame. I think it was Grandmama or something like that. Or was it Grandma Mama? Where she basically is a grammar Nazi, a grandmama. So that's an example. That's an example of how do you build your brand around your identity. Again, your choice, whether you want to highlight your company, your services, or yourself. However, Twitter, LinkedIn, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram allows you to. It does not allow you to share only your company. They want to know you. They want to know who you really are. So it's mostly more personal sharing. They want to know your name, Farah. They want to know what you do. They want to know what you do really well. Then they will follow you. They won't follow your company. Yeah. Thank you for that. Last questions. If I don't see any questions typed in the text chat in the next 5 seconds, we will move on. All right. This itself is an hour on episode 2. If you can imagine that. And I have this feeling 1 hour pun tak cukup because there's so much to take in. However, Buffer and Hootsuite takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. There's courses online from Buffer and Hootsuite. They send you emails every week to sort of help you out. Choose what time to post, what kind of things to post, what kinds of pictures, what are the qualities of pictures. For example, in Pinterest, there actually is research that shows that if a picture has a face in it, then it will be retweeted, it will be repinned less. But if a picture has no face in it, people will actually pin more. They'll actually resend more. So things like this will get sent to your email address now and then. Now companies, they don't have time to learn this, so what they do is they hire a social media manager, and that is an actual thing right now. There actually are people out there who do this really well, and they get a lot of money just by sitting in front of the computer managing social media accounts for these companies. Um, Really good, really good. Okay, no questions. Let's move on to the next one. You will recognize this. So when we talk about explaining your brand, it means not about delivering in the classroom, but how do you attract your clients? How do you attract the people who are interested in you? And how do you tell them what you are? Of course, we've done this. Your logo, your identity page, which is actually a term I've come up with, means style guide. So when you hear me say identity pages, it really means the style guide or the brand guide that we wanted to build. But identity pages actually contains a lot more than just font size, type of font, color, things like that. It actually contains everything on this page. So for example, your company profile, what does it look like? That is determined by the branding, by the guidelines in the identity page. Your company booklet, there's a difference here. A company profile usually is for legal purposes. They want to know where you're registered, what services you have, and things like that. And that can be pretty boring. However, a company booklet is a short summary of the company profile. It can be nicely designed. It should be a lot more fun, and should have a lot less pages to look through. I have one example. I tried to do my own. So far, yeah, I want to upgrade that one. If you go to my website, you remember there's one place you can click on where you'll download a PDF, a booklet, and that booklet is my version of a company booklet. I sometimes, when I go to clients, I'll print that out on my color printer. I will bind it, I'll staple it so it looks like a comic book. And when they ask for, what do I do, I'll give them my card and I'll give them the booklet as well. That's, rather than give them a whole company profile, that's something they can take and they can share with people. Next is a company brochure. A brochure, of course, is a pamphlet which you lipat tiga, and whenever you have like trade shows or expos or things like that, then you can bring these along to share. A booklet is way too expensive. A brochure is only an A4 piece of paper printed on double-sided. You can certainly go to a print shop and get that done very cheap for full color nowadays, much more than before. A slide template. You want your branding to be consistent with everything you teach. So your slides must also follow what the identity page guideline tells it to. What are the colors used on your slides? Where should the placement of the logo be? Where should the placement of the client logo be? Things like that. So again, ask questions when you have them. Of course, the boring stuff, standard letterhead, standard invoice, standard quotation, things like that. Usually when you have the letterhead, you already have the invoice and quotation, but different people do it differently with tables or sentences. I've actually seen people do invoices and quotations in the form of a letter, which is really old school. Name card, don't forget that one, of course. Social media covers. Ariel, do you want to explain what a social media cover is? Especially since Ariel does a lot of this work, he designs social media covers for people. So Ariel, what's a social media cover? Creak, creak, creak. Ariel, are you there? Lari tanda satu. Alright, so it's a page cover. When you look at your personal FB, that top cover, that top graphic there, that's a social media cover. You can certainly put anything you want to sell up there with the right wording. For me, I just put that photo of me at University Malaya for now. But soon you'll need to upgrade that to include a lot of your other services as well. Yep, cover page for FB, Twitter. Not just FB, Twitter, LinkedIn, quite a lot of places as well. Promo video. So this promo video is not of your courses, but about your brand. And it should not last any more than 3 minutes, as I understand it. I spoke to a video expert recently, and he says, this generation, when they see a video on Facebook and it says 6 minutes, they don't click on it at all. They've tested it 5 minutes, 4 minutes. In fact, 2 minutes, 30 seconds seems to be the optimum, not too short, not too long for a brand. But 3 minutes is the maximum length, maximum size. So you want to pack in as much as you can in that promo video. Of course, it requires someone with good writing skills, good scripting skills, and a good editing skills to put that together. However, if you have no bangas and you want to learn, you can actually create a video using PowerPoint. Yeah, you just automate everything, time everything, and run it and save it as WMV. It saves as a video, and then you just upload it to YouTube. Heck, Microsoft Windows pun, Microsoft Word pun boleh buat. You can actually make a video in Microsoft Word. It's just that I never figured out how. PowerPoint is much easier though. Okay. Of course, bunting banners, when you run your programs either publicly or when you want to make sure that you're seen, so you bring these along. The best buntings I've seen are not the standalone ones. They are those ones that roll up into a metal container. That's the most stable and the most impressive looking one. Old school is bunting yang berdiri sendiri, angin tiup jatuh. Yeah, so if you can spend a little bit more money, then you get that one, the one that auto rolls in. It is expensive though. So if you actually do this, check out with people who have done it before. Find not the cheapest, but the most reliable with high quality, high definition printing. Because some of these places, they have really cheap the rollers and the spring putus, so you can't roll it back in. So if you want to invest really well, because sekali you dah print, you tak boleh print lagi sekali. So Ariel says nowadays benchmark promo is less than 1 minute. Gila crazy. I've seen that metal one once. It's also heavy. Ariel, NBO pakai yang tu lah. That's the one that we set up though. Okay. Banner, no need to share anything more on that. Very rarely, jarang-jarang lah pakai banner, because when you're indoors, where you're going to hang the banner, buntings do much better. Of course, we talked about the website, and last but not least, which we did not talk about, is a rate card. A lot of people ask me, so how much do you charge? How much do you charge? You need to have in your head a general idea of how much you should charge for what kind of work. So a rate card is a good way of documenting that. I'm a bit shy to show you my rate card, so I'll just say that if it's for training providers, I charge 2,000 a day. If it's a training provider I really like, then I'll charge 1,500 a day. Of course, they take care of accommodations and printing and everything. In terms of if it's a direct client, then I'll charge anywhere between 4,000 to 5,000 a day. Very good, bunting. Bukan bunting lah, banting lah. Again, also, you want to have a rate card for work done, not just delivery, because sometimes client will say, can you design a program from scratch? Can you design something for us? Of course can, but you see, you must pay lah, because the programs I'm marketing to you right now are those I've designed already, I've been running. You want me to design from scratch, then I have to do research, I have to ask your staff questions, I have to do training needs analysis, and I have to design lagi, therefore must pay more lah. So my rate card for designing a program from scratch is actually 5,000. 5,000 for a 2-day program without delivery. Lepas tu, kalau if I'm designing it and I have to train their trainers to deliver it, some more money. Usually what I do is I insist that they go for a PLF program. I insist they go for a PLF program, and that a PLF program is typically 850 to 1,000 for 2 days. And I will also insist they go for mastery, because that's the best way to measure up very fast whether they can deliver the program or not. So Farah says, what if it's a 10-day program? Wouldn't the rate be expectedly lower, or is it a negotiation? Well, if it's a 10-day program, Farah, 10 days straight ke? Kalau 10 days straight, then you of course, I think the client will want to negotiate with you. At the same time, if you run a 10-day program PLF style for 10 days, 4 days a week. Okay, so if it's 4 days straight, is it 4 days straight? Is that what we're talking about? 9 to 5. Okay, that's totally up to you. It's always negotiable with the client. So far I've never had that. No program on Friday. So far I've never had a 4-day straight program, because usually it's 2 days at a time. So fully negotiable. However, you don't want to negotiate any more than 20%, because anything more than that, then you're not compensating yourself well. So negotiation wise, you have your BATNA, you have your best alternative to negotiate it. 20% should be your maximum go down, right? So if 2 days a week, then what's the rate? Well, depending on where you are, I guess. If it's a training provider in Malaysia, a 2-day program will go for 3,000, so 1,500 a day. But of course, you deliver sahaja lah. They take care of the printing, yeah. If it's a direct client, then you can go anywhere between 4,000 to 5,000 a day. Hourly rate, I don't know of anywhere in Malaysia that they do hourly rates except where government is concerned. And again, very rare. Corporate, very rare hourly rate. You could have something, you just divide it up by 8 lah. So 1,500 divided by 8, and then add on a little bit, then you get your hourly rate. That sort of tells you how much how much you're worth. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at the next one. So you explain your brand, and now they say, okay, that's interesting. I like your I like your image. Tell me what you do. And of course, you remember this, your learning plan. This is something that you need to have. Okay, now your programs, everything on this page refers to one specific program, which means for every different program, you can add a learning plan yang berlainan. Why you need your learning plan? Because your learning plan will feed into your outlines. And typically, I recommend that you have 4 outlines ready for every program you have. So I have currently 23 programs that I run. Some have run, some have not run in the last couple of years at all. But I always have this on standby. A half-day program outline, an 8-hour, which is 1 day program outline, a 16-hour, which is a 2-day program outline. And for government, because government likes to, campak pergi resort mana-mana, the 16-hour, kita jadikan dia a 3-day, 2-night program, which starts either at 2:30 after they check into the hotel, or class malam saja on the first night. However, they expect, on the 3rd day, these people go home, they finish at 12 o'clock, makan and check out, right? So you need to get everything done. Whether you have night classes or not, you need to get everything done before that time is up. So, what questions do you have on this? Should be pretty straightforward, kan? Your outlines, you know this already. Okay, so another thing you can explain your program with is a brochure. We talked about this as well, right? So, design cantik-cantik. Recently, I did a survey amongst my HR friends, and I asked them what attracts them about the brochure. They say the first thing is the design must be attractive. Tapi kalau content fail, then it doesn't capture. The design only captures attention. Yeah. When the design takes away from the content, then they say tak best. So it must be well designed, okay, snazzy to the eye, and when they are interested to read, it must be well written. So the program outline that you have already sudah well written. Now you need to just design it nicely. Jangan sampai the design takes away from the writing. So one brochure for one program, one brochure that says the whole. Well, if you say one brochure that says the whole, itu bukan brochure, itu sudah jadi booklet. So that booklet we talked about tadi on the previous slide. Yeah, one brochure for one program. So if you have 23 programs, you have 23 brochures. And best sekali brochure jangan lebih daripada 2 muka surat. So double-sided, just nice. Anything more, I've seen orang cepat penat. Ya, dia salah banyaknya. So much to learn. So if you have a brochure that's only double-sided, color printed, cantik-cantik, glossy, okay, that will capture attention. So the program brochure can actually have the outline information in it, tetapi it must be copyrighted. So copywritten. It must be written creatively to capture attention. Then you go into then you copy and paste from your program outline into there. Okay, mana software PageMaker kita dia, right? Masih pakai PageMaker ke? Orang dah pakai InDesign dah. Alright. Also, for every program, you want to have a promotion poster just in case the client goes, we want to attract our people to sign up for this course. What poster do you have? So, I got a poster standing by. They don't need to design it. So, you make life easy for them. Also, copywriting text. This is if you run public programs. If you are in any of the PLF punya WhatsApp groups, you will see Once in a while, ada a very long posting dekat masuk tiba-tiba that says, come and see this, come and join this, come and sign up for this. And in the PLF, the very strong people who are doing this are Sheila and Ijul. So if you're in PLF Selangor and KL punya group, right now, I think Ijul is having some sort of event online, an online event, a TV, Facebook Live. Yeah. Sembang Brand Keting. So, seriously, so bukan marketing, brand keting. Sembang Brand Keting menangi hadiah istimewa. So if you watch tonight, then you can actually win some prizes, I believe. So this text goes out to, it can go out to any of your social media accounts, except for Twitter maybe, because it has a word count limit. It can go onto WhatsApp especially, and WhatsApp is best used in Malaysia. You know, in other countries they don't use WhatsApp to market the way we do. So we're actually quite leaders in that sense. So you want to have this copywriting text for every program. You have 23 programs, you have 23 texts, 23 things that don't need pictures, yeah, that you can copy and paste into WhatsApp, and people will call you because of that. Okay, what questions do you have? Type into the text chat. All good? All right. So we talked about explaining your programs. Now let's talk about delivering your program. So face-to-face with participants in the classroom, what do you do? I'm going to reveal all of this, and then you ask me what you don't understand. Profiling. Now profiling is, okay, I guess I can't reveal all at once. I have found that when participants take a test, like a personality test or some sort of profiling, it makes it easier to get the content across. They know where they are. They know where they're starting from. So in the last couple of years, I have actually incorporated profiling into all of my programs. So if you come to any of my programs, you'll get a personality test, you'll get a stress test, you'll get a leadership test, you'll get what kind of manager test you are. And it's not meant to be fully accurate. It's just meant to be a wake-up call. So dia sedar. So you go, okay, generally I'm here. I want to move to a higher level from at the end of this program. So you want to incorporate some sort of profiling tool into your programs. Number two, of course, PPT and PDF slides. The reason for this, of course, PPT for you to run. PDF slides, whenever you promise to your participants, I will send you the slides. Jangan send PPT. Always send in PDF form. For two reasons. Number one, PPT berat, right? Number two, you want to, as much as possible, keep your copyright as well, keep your IP as well. So don't give it all away. Yeah. However, if you're nice, no problem. Usually, I just say I send you PDFs because they're ringan. Your workbook in DOC and PDF format. Why? Because if you're working with a training provider, you will need to send over. Sometimes they will edit and they will add in their logo or add in a few more things before they print. So you want to have it both standing by on a Google Drive somewhere. So you are somewhere in Chalkit. Kalau training provider can send now. Okay, just go on your phone and get it done. Learner notes, document, and PDF as well. So this is the participant punya notes. Learning handouts, if you have them. I usually have human bingo. I have things that that I give one by one. I tak bagi dalam workbook terus. So because why? I want it to be a surprise, and I want them to slowly graduate to the idea rather than buka-buka dia dah baca semua dia dah tahu dah. Right? Learning posters. Now, I picked this up from a company I used to work for. I asked them, why do we have these posters up on the wall? And they said, well, there are certain slides that are very important, but when the slide's gone and you refer to it verbally, the participants are like, oh yeah, they're trying to remember what it was about. So select very key slides and put them up on the wall. So whenever you're talking about it, you can always point and you say, okay, we were talking about this study. And it works really well. The other way is, instead of doing posters, because berat nak angkat kan, you do learning table maps. And these can be A4 size, they can be A5 size, printed and laminated. So instead of having them on the walls, every table gets one mat, which is a summary of the whole course. And you can say, okay, look to this model, you looked at a graphic, it's sitting on your table right now. They can just look at it. If you have both, baguslah. Yeah, so a learning poster and a learning table mat. Bukan table mat yang makan dekat atas meja, but imagine an A5 piece of paper. Sorry, I misspoke. Not A5. What is the double of A4? Is A3 kan? So A3 printed color on both, either one side or both sides, and then laminated, and you just put it on every table. So whenever you are talking about something, but you're referring to a slide that has already left the lepas a few minutes or few hours ago, you can always say refer to your table mat. It's there. Okay. Online pre-assignment. So before they come to the course, you can also give them pre-reading materials. Okay, please read this, please do this, please think about this, please prepare this before coming to class, things like that. So you can do that on Google Drive. You can do that, you know, you can send out to the WhatsApp group, things like that. Ebook and books. You can, if you larat lah kan nak menulis kan. So books of course are for sale to supplement what they've learned. However, if you're working through a training provider, there's some ethical concerns because you're making extra money on the side. So you want to discuss with them whether that's allowable or not. Ebooks you can certainly give for free, or you can sell on your website that supplements the materials that you talked about in class. So Farah says, what about diagnostic tests? What's a diagnostic test? Farah, can you turn on your microphone and share with us? Mm-hmm. Yes. So
it's kind of like, you know, before you submit a program, or rather when you already have a program in the company, they'll ask you to do a diagnostic test. So they want to know that you have to break it up into courses for beginners, intermediate, or those, you know, like intermediate 1 and 2. So in order for you to know to do that, you need to give them a diagnostic test to know which level they go into. Some clerks ke atau management level ke, their English is kind of like in the lower levels kan. So dia mungkin masuk intermediate 1 atau intermediate 2, then you can actually plan your program for that level. So that's what a diagnostic test is. And then lepas the program, you kena buat another test to see that ada improvement tak, you know, something like that.
Okay, you're good. That's you're actually very advanced. That's the next slide. What you call a diagnostic. That's on the next slide. So what you call a diagnostic test, which is a pre and post course assessment. Some clients will request that as a matter of fact. They kata mesti ada. But what you were talking about is more a streaming. So before, when you apply that diagnostic test, bukan hari dia datang kan, you would apply them maybe the day before or the week before or the month before to understand, okay, which level do they go into. So that actually does not fall into what we consider a pre and post. A pre and post is done at the beginning of the program before we start. Okay, hi, my name is Nazrin, let's take a test. Bam. Okay, so at the end of the program we do another test. And there are two ways of doing this. Number one is you give a different test at the beginning and at the end. Number two is you give the exact same test, right? The exact same test at the beginning, the exact same test at the end. And all you need is to measure a movement. Once you see a movement, there is a positive movement, then you have your numbers, right? So it doesn't have to be too academically inclined or too much numbers. As long as there's movement, there's evidence of learning, you've got that. Yeah, again, depends on how much your client wants you to do lah. Nak banyak kena bayar lebih lah. That's what I say. Next we have what I call an action guide, which is, okay, lepas balik nanti, how are you going to continue to practice these behaviors? So the action guide takes everything that you've taught them inside the course, summarizes them, and gives them things to do over the next 21 days. I choose 21 days because my teacher kata behavior changes in 21 days. Some teachers kata 40 days. I say tak larat lah I buat 40 days. Sebab I pun tak larat buat 40 days. I'm not going to force that onto people. So I choose a magic number, which is 21 days. I've been wanting to do this. I have not done this yet, but I have done it for one course. The action guide is a takeaway, which can be a few pages long, right? It's a small booklet. Sort of like if you go to the gym, then you have your gym program book, and how many deadlifts you do a day, how many bicep curls, things like that. So the action guide will be, okay, in the next 21 days, these are the actions you're going to commit to, and then you tick off. Nobody's going to check, only you saja and check. Kalau nak kita check, cakap kat klien bayar lebih. So any questions on the action guide? No. Last but not least, of course, for every program, prepare one certificate just in case klien tanya, ada certificate tak? Ada. So tak adalah you tekuk apa nak design benda tu. You say ada, I will send to you. Okay, please print out and then I will sign. Okay. If anybody can hear me, type in yes. Okay, Farah says cannot hear. Farah, can you hear me? No? Okay. All right. All right. So, Farah, if you can hear me, then this is what you were talking about. Okay. I'm gonna, guys, hang on sekejap ya. Okay. So while we're waiting for Farah, you can watch the recording later on. So proving your effectiveness, basically this is everything Farah was talking about. So if you're not aware, there is something called the Kirkpatrick assessment, and the Kirkpatrick assessment was created by Professor Kirkpatrick, and what he does is there are 5 levels. I think now there are 6 levels. There are 5 levels of assessment. Level 1 is the lowest level, and it's what we call the happy sheet. The happy sheet is given at the end of every program, and it asks you the question. So, did you like the program? Did you like did you like the trainer? Okay, would you recommend this to other people? That's a happy sheet, an evaluation sheet. And what Rizal taught us in PLF program, you know, the 2 questions. Apabila anda setuju bahawa program ini membawa manfaat, ceritakan manfaatnya. What's the second question? Sekiranya ada penambahbaikan yang boleh dilakukan pada program ini, sila sebutkan. So that's what we call a happy sheet, the L1 assessment. And of course, for the L1 assessment, you need to have a report template standing by, because you know it's a lot of work to take that in, and you need to report that to the client and say, oh, okay, they like the program. These are the numbers. Everybody said daripada 1 sampai 7, semua orang bagi 7, ada yang bagi 6, things like that. So you need to have that template standing by. Usually it's in an Excel spreadsheet format. The L2 assessment, a level 2 assessment, is what we call the pre and post. It's an examination of knowledge. So before the program starts, you give a pre-test that tests their knowledge on the subject they're about to learn. And some people do quite well because, you know, they have experience. At the end, you give the same questions, you give the same test, and they answer again. And when they answer again, you should be able to see a rise in the scores. Kalau jadi makin jatuh tu, makin bodoh tu, heran jugalah. But honestly, I've seen it happen. They start pandai, I guess they tembak semua menjadilah. So you also need to have an L2 report template standing by. I have L1 and L2 report templates. An L3 assessment is what we call a behavioral change assessment. So if number 1 is a happy sheet, which is a reaction. Number 2 is what we call a knowledge test. Number 3 is actually a behavioral change test. They want to know whether the behavior has changed after the program. So usually this assessment is done 6 months, 3 to 6 months after, and you send in by email, or the client will do it for you to find out. So have they been applying what you've taught them, and what successes have they had? So this one is more qualitative than it is quantitative, and every different program you have will need to have a different type of assessment. And that one I plan to build into this program when we run it for episode 2. I offer 30 days free online coaching for post-program, and out of 30 participants, typically 2 or 3 people will come back and take advantage of it. And usually we meet up online on Skype or WhatsApp 2 or 3 times and we're done. So if you want to offer that, you can either offer that as value add for free, or you can package that in bundle with a different price. I also set up a Facebook group as an alumni for my participants. And you know, everything you see in the PLF family where we share interesting articles and things like that. I do that in my FB group as well. So whenever I post something interesting in the family, I also cross post it there. And I get my former participants to discuss it, see what their reactions are to that. Workshop resource page. If you attended episode 1, you would remember that my website has an academy page where after the program that they attend, they can actually continue learning. They go through the links there. There are videos, there are PDFs, ebooks that they can download to continue studying. And last but not least, of course, a testimonial video. If you tak malu lah kan, at the end of every program, you see siapa yang most impacted by, you can see lah, they come and talk to you after the program. They say, thank you very much, Puan Farah, I liked it so much, la 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 la. And you say, would you mind if I videoed you saying this? Collect a lot of this, and one day you'll be able to put together a very strong testimonial video for every different program that you run. Okay, so what questions do you have before we come to the last slide? We're coming up to 10, even though we started a little bit late. Type in your questions now. Oh, Ariel, you know why I put cap there? Because it's supposed to be about pre and post. So cap is the post. All right. Last but not least, when you've made it big, how you know you've made it to the big leagues is when you actually can license your IP and get people to run your programs, right? Patience. So here are the 3 things that you want to be very aware of. One is you're going to have to build from scratch a learning facilitator enablement, which is a TTT. It is basically teaching someone how to run your program, right? Teaching someone how to run your program. Anybody who runs Take Charge right now under Results Auspices would have gone for a 2-day enablement where they learn how to run Take Charge like Rizal runs it. Anybody who runs the PLF program now had to attend a 3-day program to understand how Rizal runs it. So we had to learn exactly every single word, every single sentence to make sure that we tak lari daripada the concept. Number 2 is a learning facilitator guide, because you can't remember everything. So a learning facilitator guide will have every slide and what to say at every slide, what what activities to run with the participants. Basically, it's a handhold. Kalau terlupa, buka saja and it's all there. And it gets quite tedious to build this. So if you have 23 programs, you want to license all 23, you need to take a sabbatical, go out there and actually record yourself. Or you get a ghostwriter to watch your videos and then document that. Kena bayar lah. And last but not least, of course, a licensing contract. You want to make sure that they don't run away with the content, they don't change the content, and still use your IP without your consent. So that's basically all we have. So all 63 tools at a very fast pace. I plan to build this, clean this up, and turn it into a 6-hour program, which actually has the how-to. So how to market on Facebook, how to market on Twitter, things like that. How to where's the best place to get your things, your buntings and things like that. However, right now, this is what I needed from you guys tonight. What questions, what comments, what suggestions do you have if we were to run this episode 2 as a 6-hour program? Is there something I should remove? Is there something I should add in? Right? Looking forward to your comments, either by voice or text chat. Anyone? I guess let's go around the table. Are you got to feed me more? Are you sure you want some more to be fed? Content is solid. All right. I edited it quite a bit today. I was thinking banyak sangat ni, so I had to cram down a little bit. Afzal, any comments? Muna, any comments? Farah, no problem. You can watch the video and see what you missed. But basically, these 63 tools will be incorporated into the 6-hour program for episode 2, And of course, I need to do a lot more application on my own. I need to talk to experts and mentors to be able to understand what's the best way of doing this, because I can't teach it if I don't do it myself. So I have to do it first. So what is missing, or what do you think I should talk about more? What should I take out? What should I put in? Anything so far? Farah, you didn't miss much. So many things I never use or provide. Well, Muna, you see, there's no problem sebenarnya. We can continue doing things the way we do. But there are a lot of other people who are catching up doing things the way we do as well. So we want to offer the client, something that is value add. Dia tengok, oh ada benda ni dan ada benda ni, pada harga yang sama as other trainers as well. Yeah, nampak macam I cover everything, I think. Okay. So if this is what goes into episode 2, do you think people will be excited to attend it? Yep. Ariel, episode 2 will be first class lah. First class will be focusing on 6 apps. And can you imagine the assignments? Wow, awesome. Yeah, focus on only the 6 apps. Yang lain tu, YouTube tu will be difficult lah. You need to actually put together a video kan. Tapi where text is concerned, senang. Yep, lot of samples. Thank you, Azal. I will be looking for the samples and I will be doing those hopefully for the next 1 year. By the time 2018 is up, I think episode 2 dah siap kot. Alright. Alright, thank you very much guys. Looks like it's been fruitful for me and you. I hope you learned something, not from me, but from everybody who's fed me this stuff. There are, on the 16th of December, I will be actually attending an e-usahawan course, and I look forward to seeing what else I can pick up for you from there. As far as I know, Muna dropped out kan, Muna tak dapat pergi. Shazwan and Yurni, I know for a fact, have registered, so I'll be seeing them there face to face. We'll take photos for you guys. Okay, if you have no questions, type into the text chat no, and we'll close up the session tonight. Thank you everyone for your extra time. Alright, if I see no's, then I'll close up the session. No, nak lagi begini lah. Minggu depan kita pergi Aceh lah. Alright, thank you very much guys. See you somewhere online soon. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye bye.